What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. We're getting into OTAs officially. We're in the middle of phase 3, which means we're going to have 7-on-7 drills, 11-on-11s, and, this being the second practice of OTAs for the New York Jets. It's the first one open to the media, so we're really getting a chance to officially get somewhat of a preview into what at least preseason could look like for the New York Jets. And we've had press conferences from Robert Saleh. We got to hear from Sauce. I believe we got to hear from Malachi Corley and Jeff Ulbrich along with Aaron Rodgers. So there's a number of things to get into. Let's kick things off with Aaron Rodgers. So for one, he did mention that he's highly motivated, not just by the concerns around his performance and how that'll be impacted by his age, but also his health coming back from this Achilles injury. And so one of the more dangerous things that we've seen in the league is an Aaron Rodgers that feels like he's being underappreciated or undervalued, right? And I've seen a number of other analysts through ESPN and Speak and CBS and all these other platforms that have mentioned nobody really is arguing the point that Aaron Rodgers won't put up anywhere between good to elite numbers, right? And I seen, or at least I posted, what his averages have been, I think, since like 2012 in terms of yardage, passing touchdowns, his win-loss ratio. If he gets anything close to that, or even 80%, I believe we're talking about a playoff caliber team here, right? So I get it, 2 years removed from football, major injury in place, 40 plus years old. All of those are factors, but from everything we've known, we've seen Aaron Rodgers break his collarbone before, come back. Granted, he was much younger. He's a force. It just quite put simply, the man's as unstoppable as he wants to be, right? And this is arguably his most complete team that we put him around. So I'll leave it at that. Just know the man is on a mission still once again, and that can only mean great news for us. Robert Saleh already confirmed he's on no restrictions here. So prior to him having some pre-obligations or something that comes up, then wanting to give him some additional rehabilitation time or anything like that, he's going to be full front stage and center for the duration of this offseason for the New York Jets. Now, per Connor Hughes, today, or at least yesterday by the time you guys are seeing this, he went 13 of 15 with 3 touchdowns, 5 for 5 in 7-on-7 drills, and then 8 for 10 with the 3 TDs and 11-on-11 work. And while I take all of this with a grain of salt, when I think about some of the conversations we had about needing a new coaching staff in place, or when we were dealing with Zach Wilson or any number of the other previous quarterbacks that couldn't get the job done, head coaches that couldn't get the job done, offensive coordinators that seemed like they had no idea how to put out a semi-successful offense at the least, right? Bare minimum. It starts in OTAs, right? How many times have we, over embellished, if you will, the fact that we've seen a touchdown pass in OTAs or any number of things, right? It's been few and far in between, and we've had consistent, solid, elite work. And I think Robbie Sabo had highlighted the fact that this OTA period, there wasn't a bunch of clowning around. There wasn't guys joking off to the sideline. It didn't seem disorganized or dysfunctional in any kind of way. It was head down, it was work, and obviously Aaron Rodgers went in and just eviscerated the defense, which I look at it in 2 different ways. One, we're still talking about a reigning back-to-back top 3 to top 5 defense in the NFL. We arguably got better at the most important parts for this scheme defensively, being defensive line. Excuse me. And you take a look at our cornerbacks returning, we're in prime position there. So this is no laughing matter, right? One of the things that I think will be at the forefront of everybody's mind is the battle between Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner once again. Sauce Gardner won a lot of those battles in year 1. Garrett Wilson won a lot of those competitions last year with Aaron Rodgers, and it seems like once again Garrett Wilson may have the edge, right? An elite quarterback with elite wide receiver play just beats perfect coverage and moves by Sauce Gardner, but he has been making it a challenge, which is great to see. I believe he had a pass breakup, and then Aaron Rodgers was able to get a tight window pass in there against him. But it's going to be a pretty even kill match as much as you can ask for it being a kind of a one-sided competition. You've seen Aaron Rodgers have a long pass to Xavier Gibson. I believe he ripped it down the seam right past somebody. You had a touchdown pass to Allen Lazard, who was wide open, and a tight window throw to Garrett Wilson to hit the end zone and pay dirt. So I'm loving everything that I'm seeing. This is exactly what we want. Any news that's positive in the manner of, and Aaron Rodgers not only getting this offense on track or ahead of schedule in terms of developing, because keep in mind, he really only had last off season, so you're talking maybe 2 to 3 months of work max to get acclimated to these guys, get them accustomed to his snap counts, his cadences, things that he likes to see in terms of his hand motions, and you understanding what it is he's seeing and how you should act accordingly. And he's getting back into that cycle, right? We essentially overhauled this offense once again, so he's having to teach these things, or at least acclimate these guys as quickly as he can, like Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, John Simpson, right? Joe Tippmann and AVT are returning, so luckily you're not talking about having to, refigure out everything there. But again, you take a look at this wide receiver room, Malachi Corley, Mike Williams being two of the presumed top 3 weapons. There's going to be an acclimation period here once again. So I love what I'm seeing. In other news, we also, during his press conference, he highlighted the fact that he understands there's pressure here. And this is one of the things that separates Aaron Rodgers. And it should be obvious, but, it needs to be stated. He talked about the pressures of needing to perform this season, acknowledging it, embracing it, and also his understanding that if this season isn't successful, and it's a loaded question. What is a successful season, not just for Aaron Rodgers, but for the New York Jets, who have desperately been craving to get into the playoffs and just taste a positive, winning ratio to end the season, right? When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, he's embracing that. For one, the type of confidence you need to have as a starting quarterback needs to be high. When you add on to the fact that you're playing in a New York/New Jersey market, and you're talking about a team that hasn't seen success since the Rex Ryan days, and that came due to a lot of, peacockish type personalities. This is huge for us. This is exactly what Zach Wilson was missing, and you don't have to be maybe as blunt with the confidence as you get from a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I appreciated the quiet confidence that a guy like Sam Darnold has, but he comes with those accolades and already having put the work in and seen it done consistently. And I think that'll go a long way for the team. That seems to be what everybody consistently feeds off here. He also talked about his mental hurdle, though, and that being one of the last things that he really needs to check off on his box, and just knowing that he can hit the field, things can happen, he'll be all right, have, supreme confidence in that leg, and we'll be able to piece things together. For other guys, we had Elijah Vera Tucker, Mike Williams, Morgan Moses. They haven't officially been cleared yet, so they've been working off to the side. We also seen the same thing with left guard John Simpson. And then we had Greg DeLay going a perfect 6 for 6 out there. Tyrod Taylor showing off that beautiful deep ball, which everybody at every stop that I've seen him go to has talked about the deep ball. And he's more of a conservative player, or maybe it's just been the timing of when he's had to come in and take over offenses and the weapons they've had allowed to him, etc. But he does have a beautiful touch pass when it comes to launching that thing across the field. So I'm impressed with him. Obviously everybody's benefiting from a high quality backup quarterback with the reps that you need to get to try to develop and make sure you can accelerate things where you can. And an interesting bit of news to wrap things up here is the fact that Jeff Ulbrich did confirm. We brought in cornerback Isaiah Oliver prior to the draft. He's played cornerback and safety, more so some safety with the 49ers recently, and it seems like Jeff Ulbrich would like to see him go back to being a safety where we plan to utilize him. So we know there's an open competition right now, which has also been spoken of about Robert Saleh with Ashton Davis and Chuck Clark. Tony Adams doesn't necessarily have a competitor to his starting role. But it lets me, I'm curious now what happens, right? So regardless of who wins, it should be a plus. If Ashton Davis takes that next leap, or he's more consistent in his play from what we saw last year as just a rotational guy that found his way to the ball, then it's a huge win. He's finally consistently getting to the level we expected him to, and hopefully that leads to a big payday for him and whatever that ends up looking like. And if Chuck Clark wins, cool. We have a veteran established leader who's been a consistent proven presence, also has high level versatility in terms of being a productive player that isn't going to have you fall back from having a consistent performer out on the field, whether you're using him as linebacker, using him as safety, using him as the third safety, sliding him down into the slot, playing him in nickel, etc. Right? We've seen him all over the place, including defensive line, which we chatted about before. But it does leave the door wide open for some of these younger guys, right? We have Jared Bernard-Converse from last year still. I was interested in Jarius Monroe, the UDFA that we've broken down, maybe a week or two ago now. So we'll see who steps up. There's a void there for sure. Can Isaiah Oliver hold one of these guys off? Who knows? We may just decide to ultimately carry 3 guys. It is what it is. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think about OTAs, any of the news you've heard that I haven't broken into here. And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.